Hi everyone, and welcome to the first video of the series where I show you how to make AI coloring books from start to finish. I've had quite a few requests from my viewers to show you the entire process that I use when I publish my AI coloring books, so here it is. In this video, I'll be focusing on the first step of the entire process, which is arguably the most crucial one. Before we get creating, we have to perform a keyword research in order to determine what sort of book we are going to create and what sort of keywords we are going to target. The determining factor on what sort of product we want to sell on any marketplace is demand. There needs to be customers willing to pay money to buy our product. If there's no demand, it doesn't matter how good of a product we have, it will simply not be seen or will not be seen enough to generate any meaningful revenue. Another important factor is competition. In an ideal world, we would want high demand and low competition. However, that's not always possible. Competition is fine as long as we can outperform them and offer a better deal to the marketplace to incentivize the customers to choose our product over our competition. Therefore, we need to look for high demand niches where we can still obtain a competitive advantage. So how do we go about this? First, we need to get the tools to make this process more efficient. Those can be free or paid. However, in this video, I will only be using free tools as I want to make this accessible to everyone. We then find potential keywords using the Amazon search engine. We then validate the viability of those keywords. The process we are going to be using works for low, medium, and high content books. The principles are the same. I will be focusing on medium content books as this is what I have personal experience with, and this is what my whole business model has been built on. Right, let's get into the tools that we need. So first of all, we need a Google Chrome browser, as we're going to be installing some extensions which are going to help us with the keyword research. So the first extension we want to get is Amazon Suggestion Expander. What it basically does is it expands the Amazon search bar in order to show us more results, which is very useful when looking for keywords. And the second extension we want to get is Titans Quick View from Self-Publishing Titans. They also have a paid version for this, which gives us some very useful metrics. However, we're only going to be using the free version for this video. Additionally, we'll be using incognito mode in Google Chrome so that we can get rid of any saved cache that could skew our results, and it will also allow us to change the zip code to America so that our results are as accurate as they can be. And what that means, we're also going to have to change some settings in order to enable our extensions to be used in incognito, because by default they wouldn't work. In order to do that, we click the three dots, go into extensions, manage extensions, and then in here we want to go into our extension, click details, scroll down, and make sure the option to allow an incognito is ticked. You have to do that for both the Amazon Suggestion Expander as well as the Titans Quick View. Now that we have the tools required, we can crack on with the keyword research. The first thing we want to do is change our location to America using a US zip code. You can use this one that you can see on screen, and then you click apply. This will basically make sure that we're getting accurate search results which are not being skewed by our location. Now we're ready to crack on with the keyword research. There's two ways we can go about this. The first one is we can go into categories and look at other best-selling coloring books in order to gain inspiration for keywords we could use and validate ourselves to see if they're going to be a viable topic to publish in. The second option will be to think of a subject at random. Perhaps it's something you're into, or you just have a great idea and think it would be a good coloring book to sell. So you just want to validate if there's demand in that niche. In this video, I'll be focusing on the first method as it's more of a structured approach and there's actually some method to the madness rather than just firing at random. However, I wouldn't discredit looking for topics at random because I have had some success doing that in the past. So let's get to it. We want to click on all, click on bestsellers. So you want to go into books. And within books, we want to find the coloring books category, which I think is under children's books, activities, crafts and games, activity books, and then in here we click coloring books. Here we are. So this is children's coloring books. I believe there's another category which is coloring books for grown-ups. We can explore that one as well. So essentially how we want to go about this, we just want to scroll through and see if we find any interesting niches or subjects that we can use and validate. Right off the bat, what you can see is our extension is starting to work. So above the listing, you can see how we have this little table showing us the BSR of the book, the categories that it's been published in, as well as its ranking in that given category, the date that it's been published, and whether it's been independently published or it's been published by one of the big authors. Independent publishers are basically people like us. Another useful feature from this tool is you can click here and see the BSR graph, which shows you the ranking over time as well as the price and the reviews for that book. So we can track the performance of a book, which is very useful when doing our research as well. Okay, let's see if we can find anything interesting. Simple and Big coloring book for toddlers. Okay. I know simple and big is quite a big niche at the moment. And bold and easy are the keywords targeted by some of the big authors, such as this one, Coco Wyo. Here we've got another one, coloring book for toddlers. Perhaps that would be something to look into. Let's see. Let's validate this. So we grab the keywords, go up, out, open a new tab, just so we don't lose what we're looking at. Paste it in here. And as you can see here, that's the extension that we've installed as well. So the Amazon Suggestion Expander, super useful. Normally you would only be left with this left column, but on top of that you get the keywords before and the keywords after suggestions, which is great when looking for keywords. Perhaps not your primary keywords, but your secondary keywords that could go in your subtitle and so on. So these are also things that people are commonly searching for. It just helps you to expand suggestions, get some more keywords in. So let's search for it. And then here we can see we got Titan's Quick View popping up. Let's just give it some time to populate, and we're going to talk about the figures that come up here. Okay, so the extension has now populated. We can see the total number of search results, 23,000, which is quite a lot. How many of those results exactly match what we searched for? So this keyword essentially. How many of those are independently published? Average BSR, low BSR, high BSR. So this is very useful when trying to determine whether it's worth publishing in. Obviously, we want to look for books which are as low of a BSR as possible. Number of reviews, average price, and so on. They also give you a niche score based on some metrics that they use. I wouldn't put too much weight on this. However, if you do see a niche score which is very low, it's a good indication that you probably shouldn't be investing into researching this niche anymore. It's probably not worth publishing there. So the things I look out for when searching for a book. So now that we searched for it, we want to scroll down and basically look at some of the books. And things we're looking out for is their bestseller rank. So ideally, we want to be looking for books with a BSR of below 100K. Between 100 to 300K is okay. However, I normally aim to end up below the 100K mark, essentially. That's when you're starting to get some decent sales and actually generating a decent amount of revenue. Anything higher than that is not amazing. It will get some sales. It does adapt if you have a large library, but it's nothing spectacular. So as you can see here, we can see the date the book's been published. We essentially want to be looking at books that have been published recently. So we're looking for books with a low BSR that have been published recently. By recently, I mean within the last 6 to 8 months. Or at least within this year. So we want to be looking for books published in 2024. And that's the way, and that's the ones I pay attention to when doing my keyword research. So I'm scrolling through. We want to be ignoring the sponsored products. These are basically ads. So they're not, those books haven't organically ended up at the top of the search results. These are literally being sponsored. So we want to ignore those as well when we're doing our research. So as you can see, all of these books seem to be published a while ago, which isn't a good sign. So okay, we've got one. June 2024, very low BSR, very nice. 10K. That's making some solid money. Let's see if we can find any more. Okay, we've got another one, June 21st, 2024. BSR of 34K. That's really good. Here we've got another one, June 19th, 2024, 38K BSR. Decent. Then we got May 5th, 34K, but you can see this one is not an independent publisher, so it's been published by Mattel, which is Fisher-Price, which is, yeah, again, big brand. Obviously, they have a competitive advantage being a recognizable brand rather than an independent publisher like ourselves. So I wouldn't put too much weight on those books. However, we can see another one, February 2nd, 2024, BSR of 65K. So it looks like there's quite a few books which have been published recently with a really low BSR. Actually, no, this one's 990k. But there you go, 29k published in February, another one. So there's quite a few recently published books that ended up on the front page, which is great. So why am I looking at books being published recently? Because that shows us that there's mobility within the niche, meaning it's not dominated by old publishers that basically published their books a few years ago, achieved a very high BSR, and there's no room for any new books to climb up the ranks. We want to publish in niches where there's a lot of mobility in terms of ranking. So when we enter as a new player, we have that chance to climb in the ranks to end up on the front page ourselves as well. So it looks like this keyword actually isn't too bad. However, something to keep in mind is there's a lot of results, right? So which means obviously there's a lot of competition. You'll be competing with 23,000 other people who publish their book with those keywords, which is very competitive. Like I said before, competition is not necessarily bad. It just means we have to have some sort of competitive advantage. So what I would do is I would analyze the books which we find here. So let's find another one. Right, so this one, June, published recently. Let's find another one, 2024. That's another one. So I would basically find all the books that were recently published that achieve a very good BSR and just analyze their listing. See how good the cover is. Look at the quality of their coloring pages. How good is their description? Do they have a solid A+? Basically, is there room for improvement there? Because obviously there's high competition, so we somehow need to outcompete them if we're going to make money here. If you find that the books in that niche are very poor, yet they're achieving a very good BSR, that's a perfect niche to publish in, because that means if we enter with a more powerful book, market it correctly, we can outcompete already standing books and take their market share. However, as you can see here, the covers are looking decent. They all have A+. Looks like they have a strong position in the market. You have to ask yourself the question, can I compete with this, basically? And if the answer is no, then I would basically give up on this. I would look for something with lower competition. Let's look for a different keyword then. So we got coloring book for toddlers. Nope. I've already checked that. Mermaid coloring book. Let's see. Okay, open a new tab, paste it in, and search for it. Okay, so the extension has now populated. You can see this one right off the bat, way less search results, right? So the other one had 20-something thousand search results. This one's only got 2.5K, which is looking a lot better. So yes, there might be less volume going to it, but that also means there'll be less competition. Now, looking at the BSRs, you can see that they oscillate between 600 is the lowest, 2 million is the highest. 2 million is essentially when your book is getting no sales, or maybe gets 1 or 2 sales a month. So the average BSR here is 362K. However, let's see how many books we can find that have been published within this year that have a BSR below 100K. So this is published 2022, 2023, 2021, April 2024. Okay, so a few months ago, BSR of 75K. Okay, in fact, I'll open a new tab. We will look at it later, potentially. These are all sponsored products. Ignore those. Another one, August 2024, with a BSR of 400K. That is terrible. That's not good enough for us. March 22nd, 2024, 200K. Not too bad. Open a new tab. Okay, another one, February 29th, 2024, BSR of 82K. Decent. Let's take that one. Scroll down. Another one, June 12th, 2024, BSR of 400K. Not amazing. I would skip that. August 19th, 96K. Okay, let's open that one. It's not too bad. July 2024, BSR of 500K. Not amazing. BSR of 990K. Okay, another one, 92K, published in March. Open a new tab. July 1st, 2024, 2 million. That doesn't sell. 100K. February 3rd, 2024. Trash BSR. Ignore it. June 26th, 2024. BSR not the best. Ignore that one. 600K. A lot of recently published books in this niche, actually, but a lot of them have very high BSRs. So they're not getting a ton of sales. Neither is this one. Yeah, I think the BSRs now are very high. Oh, okay, there's another one. 90K BSR. Published in July 29th. That's good. Cool. So we have quite a few books to look at. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books with a low BSR that have been published this year. That's a really good sign. Now, what I would do is I'll basically look at all those books that we've opened and just see how good of a quality is this book. Like, is the cover really good? I wouldn't say this is really good, to be honest. Coloring books for kids 4 and up. There's definitely room for improvement here. Very blatantly AI generated. This is looks like it's a copy and paste from ChatGPT. So yeah, it's not an amazing book, to be honest. Wow, what the hell? A+, pretty much non-existent. Look, it's just text. This is not what your A+ should look like. Okay, so this book is absolutely trash. Sorry if this is your book, but as you can see, the BSR they've achieved is 75K, which is not bad at all. Now, if we look at the BSR chart, we can see it's been published in May. Then it sort of oscillated. Okay, so between 1.5 mil and 119K. So it was getting occasional sales. And then recently, since about beginning of August, it went down and achieved a really good BSR. That's interesting. I wonder if they're running ads on this. Okay, let's go to the top of the search. Can we find this book? Mermaids Under the Sea. Okay, I can't see any ads for this book. It doesn't seem to be... Normally they have a sponsored tag as well. So when you look at the listing, somewhere here there's usually a sponsored thing. So, okay, I don't understand how this book is such a low BSR. But okay, let's look at another one. This one, 200K. Cover is alright. Not amazing, not terrible. BSR chart. Okay, it's up and down, up and down. So, yeah. It's currently sitting at 200K, but you can see that it's not a very stable position. It sort of oscillates a lot. Okay, it has an A+, which isn't amazing, but it's there. Better than, than the first book we looked at. Okay, another book. Yeah, looks okay, just okay. 82K. BSR published in February. BSR, decent. It's making some sales. It's got an A+. Cool. Another book. This one. Okay, #1 new release. Release in 19th of August. Very recent. It's got an A+. I'm not gonna lie, it looks like there's actually room. Not gonna lie, it looks like there's actually room for some competition here. I don't want to be shitting on anyone's book, but they're not amazing, these ones. I mean, this is an activity book. Maybe, in fact, we ignore this one. But this is activity book and coloring book. Okay, ignore that one. Another coloring book, 90K BSR. Decent cover. Okay, very nice A+. This actually looks pretty decent, not gonna lie. Right off the bat, I can tell, like... The thing is, this is a bit sus to me. The book's been published, and it instantly achieved such a low BSR. I wonder if this person is doing any marketing outside of Amazon. Because this almost doesn't look organic. It doesn't look like it's been achieved through running ads on the platform, unless you went super aggressively or just got very lucky. Okay, so just looking at this. Okay, so right off the bat, just looking at this mermaid coloring book, I think that's one to consider. It's not looking terrible. Total results only 2.5. Niche score 55, which is fine. But as you can see, there's quite a few books with a low BSR that have been published recently, and not gonna lie, half of them look pretty shit. So there's definitely room for improvement there. Okay, I'll keep that one. Let's look for another one. Okay, another one, as you can see, in the bestsellers, Unicorn, Mermaid, and Princess. So it's also targeting the mermaid keyword. Obviously, this one's a bit keyword stuffed with unicorn and princess, cute, fun, and so on. So there's quite a few keywords it's targeting, but nevertheless, mermaid's one of them. One of the key keywords that they're using, essentially. Unicorn coloring book. Let's see. Right. Let's open a new tab. Have a look at unicorn coloring books. Okay, so the extension has now populated. As you can see, there's 4,000 results in this one. 22 of those match the search term that we searched for, which is really good. Oh, shit. So 22 out of 48 of those match what we searched for, which is really good. We don't want this to deviate too much, so we want this number to be as high as possible. If there's not many results that exactly match the key phrase that we searched for, that essentially means that there potentially is not a lot of demand in this niche. And when we search for unicorn coloring book, we might be shown books which are closely related but not exactly targeting the same keywords. So it's not good when the search results deviate too much from the search term. This is good. So 26 of those were independently published, which is fine. That's the majority. An average BSR, as we can see here, is 26, and we got a niche score of 58, which is not too bad. Okay, let's scroll down. And now what we're looking for is we're looking for books published in 2024 with a BSR of below 100k, ignoring all the sponsored products. Okay, so we got one here, published in June 2024. Nope, it's 339k. Okay, we ignore that one. Independently published July 16, 2024, 86k BSR. Okay, open that one. It's good. Another one, 2024, BSR was 106k. Let's look at that one. Just over 100k, that's acceptable. Did I miss one? No. Okay. Here we've got another one, 75k, published in 25th of March 2024. August 2024, that's 500k. Nope, ignore that one. It's not too high. March 13th, 2024, 600k. Not the best. Not the best, 600k. April, 99k. Okay, let's open that one. July 23rd, 2024, 44k BSR. Really good. March 1st, 1 million. Ignore that. 600k. Ignore that. 600k. We ignore that one. See if there's any more. 1.6 mil. Not good enough. 400k. Not good enough for us. 350. And that would be it. So in total, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, which are in the desired BSR that have been published recently. So now we just analyze those books and basically ask ourselves the question, can we make a better book than this one, than the ones that we're seeing here? If we can outcompete them and we're confident we can make a better book, whether that's creating a better cover, better description, better A+, or better everything, in fact, then yeah, it's something worth considering. Okay, that one, Don't personally like that one too much. And it's still 106k. But yeah, let's look at the graph. How consistent is it? So this book's been sort of all over the place. Between 600k and as low as 24k. Wow, which is really good actually. It's not looking terrible, but I mean over time this could actually solidify its position on a lower BSR and sort of stick to it. It's very normal to see a book that's been recently published to sort of be all over the place, and then you can see a gradual stagnation around a certain level. But yeah, it's got a decent A+ and everything. Not too bad. Cover could be improved. Not a fan of this one, but I guess it works. This one's a bit more aesthetic. A bit more simpler, a bit more aesthetic, but that's just me. That's my personal opinion. This one looks alright. Very clearly AI generated. BSR of 70k. Wow. Okay, and as we can see here, the BSR just dropped from 5 million, so the book was getting absolutely no sales, to a BSR below 100k, and it's been sitting there consistently. Okay. Interesting. I wonder if that's due to ads or some sort of external marketing. A+, they don't even have A+ at all. Unicorn Princess coloring book. 99k BSR. Okay, as you can see, relatively low BSR. However, it's slowly climbing up. Still decent. I mean, it's getting some sales, and it's got no A+ at all. Okay, another one. Cover's not looking the best. It's got some description. And it's got no A+. And it's got BSR of 44k. Wow. This could actually be a decent niche to publish in. I'm not going to lie. This is looking pretty good. I think better than the mermaid one, to be honest. But yeah, that's one to keep as well, I guess. So let's close these books. Okay, that's one to keep as well. Let's look for any other ones. Right, let's try this one. Dinosaur coloring book. Okay, we got the results for our dinosaur coloring book. As you can see, niche score is 0 for some reason. And the results, 3,400 search results. 20 of them match the phrase that we searched for, which is good. 20 of them independently published. Average BSR of 240k. I wonder why the niche score is 0 on this one, actually. Let's go through and see. What can we find? Okay, so we've got two books with a low BSR published a while ago. 2020 to 2009. 2021, 2018, 2024. Okay, that's one. May 2024. BSR 362k, not the best. Glance over that. Okay, we've got another one here. June 2024, 85k BSR, decent. February 23rd, 2024, 230k, ignore that. 500k BSR. 1.2 mil, very high. That pretty much gets no sales. 700k. 300k, 500k, 200k. Yeah, you can see the BSRs are pretty high for this search phrase. 300k, 1.1 mil, 400k. Now you're starting to understand why the niche score for this one was 0. Yeah, there's not a ton of demand in this one. Not a ton of demand. There's what, 2 books have been recently published and managed to score a decent BSR. That's not a lot. You know, there's some luck involved in publishing an Amazon KDP as well. I mean, they either got lucky or they just spent a ton of money marketing their books in order to achieve this sort of level. As you can see, the BSR dropped from 1.5 million to about 20 to 40k, and now you can see it's gradually increasing. So they're sort of falling off. It's not performing that great. That book as well, let's take a look. So since it's been published, it went up, which is fine. Then it dropped to a low BSI, and it's sort of sticking here. But yeah, again, I mean, we found 2 books which are worth even looking at. No A+, not a great book. This one's got an A+. But yeah, this is not something we would want to. This is definitely not a keyword we want to target. Dinosaur coloring book, don't publish here. There's no money to be made. But yeah, that essentially is the process on how I search for keywords. What you might want to do is you might want to create a spreadsheet just like this one, where you take a note of the keyword that we've looked at, how many results there were. This will help you determine the competition. How many of those search terms exactly match the search term that we search for. We want this number to be as high as possible. The average BSI in the niche, you can get that from here. How many recent books are there with a low BSR? We've looked at those. We want to note that number down. The more, the better. Means there's mobility in the niche, and there's actually room for us to come in with a new book and be able to land on that first page and climb the ranks, which is great. Then you can write a little note about the competition that you found. So we've looked at some books. We've looked whether they have a strong cover, whether they have a good description, whether they have an A+. We can additionally look at the reviews, see if there's any negative reviews. Perhaps people have some complaints about the books that are already out there. I'll just take a note of basically the competition, say it's strong, it's weak. As you can see this one, half the books have no A+. Super weak, easy to outcompete. As you've seen the unicorn coloring book, some of the books that people published were absolutely terrible, and I feel like we can definitely do a better job than they'd have. And you can note down the niche score as well. As you can see, based on the opinions I've had on those books that we've looked at, it seems to pretty much align with the niche score given by the extension. So, dinosaur coloring book, the niche score was 0, and as we've seen, it looks like it's a totally terrible niche to publish in. So, it seems to make sense. But yeah, I'll essentially make a list of 10 to 15 keywords before I even decide what I'm going to publish in. What you can also do, so let's say we have the dinosaur coloring book. The way you can look further, dig deeper, is basically go here, click on the search bar, and then you get some suggestions, right? So thanks to our Amazon suggestion expander, we can see more suggestions for keywords. And we can look for some alternative keywords that we can explore. I wouldn't do this for the dinosaur coloring book, but for instance, the one that I think was decent one. So the unicorn coloring book. Let's go back to that one. Click it, and just see what sort of suggestions we've got. So we got unicorn coloring book, bulk with stickers, with crayons. Okay, maybe not that one. But we got for kids, for adults, toddler, kawaii unicorn, mermaid and unicorn, magical unicorn, perhaps magical unicorn. A lot of these are going to be shit. A lot of those you can ignore. But for instance, the magical unicorn, maybe that's something to explore. So you basically click it, look at the figures, look at the results, and see what you can find. One thing I would say to avoid is definitely don't do what a lot of people tell you to do, which is niche down. You don't want to be niching down to something like unicorn coloring book for girls aged 8 to 12 that like the color pink. It's too specific. You don't want to be narrowing down your audience so much. Yes, it might look good on paper, but who actually goes on Amazon and search for a unicorn coloring book for girls aged 8 to 12 that like the color pink? Fucking no one. You want it to be relatively generic. I honestly wouldn't go further than unicorn coloring book and then perhaps add for girls, for kids, or dinosaur coloring book for adults. Don't go further than that. Don't niche down too much. You're just limiting your audience. not many people organically going to search for those terms. The figures might look good, or there's low competition or whatever, but there's also no search volume. So if anything, your title should be literally the core keyword, the key search phrase, which is unicorn coloring book. And then potentially, if you want to look for words for your subtitle, this is where you could go into the keyword expander and see if there's anything you can find that's useful for your subtitle. Some of those suggestions could be useful for your backend keywords, so like toddler, for girls, for boys, for kids. Another way that you would look for keywords for your subtitle is by looking at the books within the niche. So let's say we went to the unicorn coloring book, we opened those 5 books that we thought were decent. Look what sort of keywords they're using. Look at their titles, look at their subtitles. These are the potential keywords you can use for yourself. However, I wouldn't niche down too much. Competition is okay. Don't be afraid of competition. What I would advise instead of looking for niches which have low competition, look for niches that have competition, but the competition is really weak, and you can have the upper hand of outperforming them by creating a better book. This is how I approach my bookmaking. I look for niches that have a high demand, that have some competition, but there's still room for me to basically outperform my competition and outdo them on certain aspects, whether that's a better book cover, better A+ content, better quality book overall, better interior. These are the kind of things you want to be looking for, rather than just looking for a low competition keyword. If there's low competition, the chances are there's also low demand, so you don't want to be messing with that. You want to have high demand. Competition is okay. Don't be afraid of competition. Focus on making better books. The keyword expander can also help you to find potential keywords that you can further check the viability of. Let's say we search for coloring book for kids, right? This should give us some suggestions with keywords before, right? So Bible verse coloring book for kids, farm coloring book for kids, space coloring books. This is another place where you can seek inspiration as to what sort of keywords you can search for your books. So rather than going for the categories like we've just done now, you can also use the keyword expander to find those keywords, and then further check the viability of those. So let's say we look for farm coloring book for kids. You can use this method. You can look for categories. You can randomly search keywords as well if you feel like you have a good idea. Any way is fine, but the way you validate it is basically how you determine whether it's good or not. Okay, niche score of 74. Farm coloring books for kids. Obviously, we'd have to validate it. The niche score, although it looks great, it might not be that amazing. As you can see, the total results is only 1700, which is not that much. Exact match is only 4, which would mean that basically search results are very vague. Not many of those match this exact search phrase, and that further reinforces what I've just said about niching down too much. So I'm sure if we search for farm coloring book, we're going to get totally different results. Because we've added 4 kids, so we've made it more specific, we obviously reduced the number of total search results, and meaning the exact match is also lower than what we've previously seen. Because the results are becoming more and more vague. They're not targeting our specific keyword so closely. So let's just compare that with what we would see if we just search for farm coloring book. So as you can see, now we're getting about 3,000 results, 13 of which are an exact match. An average BS of 266. The niche score is still pretty good, actually, surprisingly enough. But yeah, that's something to validate. We would have to go through these and see how many books we can find. I would apply the same method that we've applied earlier on in this video. As you can see, the method of searching through the suggestion expander is just as viable as searching through the categories. So yeah, spend some time, find about 10 to 20 keywords, note them down in Excel, write out the figures, analyze the books that are in there, and that will help you to determine what sort of niche you want to publish in. It does take time to find a viable keyword, so don't be too quick. Spend a decent amount of time researching the niches first until you can really be sure that you found something viable before you commit to creating a book. Creating a book is the long process. spend a few hours doing your keyword research first before you commit to creating a book, because all of those hours that you're going to put into creating the book could be wasted if you get this process wrong. So this is how I would do this without using any paid tools. So the extension that we're using also has a premium version, which is really good. It will give you the search volume for the search term rather than us guessing. It will also tell you the words commonly used in titles, which is very useful. Without this software, you're going to have to do that manually, unfortunately. This software can do this for you. I fully recommend it. However, like I said, it's absolutely not needed. You can still be a successful publisher without spending money on paid tools. They do make your life easier and they do save a lot of time though. Okay, that will be it for this video. In the next one, I'm going to be focusing on the manuscript design for the book. I'm going to be sharing with you the entire process on how I use AI in order to generate my images, what sort of tools I use for editing them. I'm going to be covering everything to do with different book formats and different sizes. So if you don't want to miss that one, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get notified when I upload it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.